Welcome back to the channel. USA Coins 69, beloved is the Kennedy half dollar. Introduced in 1964 to honor President John F. Kennedy after his tragic assassination, this coin quickly became more than just currency. It became a powerful symbol of remembrance and pride for millions of Americans. While millions of Kennedy half dollars were minted in different years, certain dates and mint marks stand out as especially fascinating to collectors. Today we turn our attention to the Kennedy half dollar from 1983, a coin that carries its own unique story and continues to surprise coin enthusiasts with its hidden value. The Kennedy half dollar has always been a collector favorite because of its design and historical connection. The obverse features the profile of President Kennedy, a portrait that radiates dignity and strength, while the reverse displays the presidential coat of arms with the American eagle holding arrows and an olive branch, a symbol of the nation's power and peace. In 1983, these coins were produced in large numbers by both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, carrying the P and D mint marks respectively. At first glance, the 1983 Kennedy half dollar might seem like an ordinary modern coin with little value beyond its 50-cent denomination, but coin collecting has a way of revealing hidden treasures in the most unexpected places. The year 1983 was significant for Kennedy half dollars because, during that time, the U.S. Mint was not producing special collector sets like mint sets or proof sets in the same way it had in other years. That meant fewer coins were struck in the highest quality specifically for collectors, and many of the coins produced entered circulation directly. As a result, finding a 1983 Kennedy half dollar in pristine, uncirculated condition can be very challenging. Most examples spent years changing hands in daily transactions, which led to scratches, wear, and loss of luster. This is one reason why well-preserved coins from 1983 have become so desirable among collectors today. Beyond condition, there are also fascinating varieties and errors associated with Kennedy half dollars that drive their value much higher than expected. Collectors are always on the lookout for doubling in the design, misaligned strikes, planchet errors, and other unusual features that occurred during minting. These small mistakes by the mint make the coins one of a kind, and the rarer the error, the more valuable the coin becomes. Even a slight doubling of the letters or numbers can turn a half dollar from ordinary into extraordinary, sparking intense bidding wars at auctions. Another factor that adds intrigue to the 1983 Kennedy half dollar is its connection to American coinage history. The coin came during an era when the mint was experimenting with different production methods and compositions, and collectors today appreciate it as part of the broader story of U.S. currency. The blend of copper and nickel used in the coin gave it a silvery appearance but made it affordable for mass circulation. Even so, certain coins escaped normal wear and remained in near-perfect condition, preserved by chance rather than intention, and those rare survivors are now worth serious money. The excitement around coins like the 1983 Kennedy half dollar comes from the idea that they can still be found in circulation. Unlike older silver coins, which were often pulled out of change decades ago, Kennedy half dollars from the 1980s occasionally show up in banks, coin rolls, or old collections stored away in drawers and boxes. That possibility keeps treasure hunters motivated, searching through their change and checking every detail of coins they come across. Imagine holding what seems like a simple half dollar, only to discover it's a rare variety or a gem-quality example that could be worth thousands. That's the thrill of numismatics, the joy of uncovering hidden value in everyday objects. Collectors also admire the Kennedy half dollar because it connects them not just to money but to American history and culture. Owning one feels like owning a piece of the nation's story, and each year and mint mark adds a new chapter. The 1983 version, in particular, has gained more recognition over time, as people realize how scarce high-grade examples are and how valuable error coins can become. For some, it's not just about the money, it's about preserving a symbol of America and celebrating the artistry and craftsmanship that went into making these coins. Today, among all its issues, one that continues to attract massive attention from coin collectors and history lovers is the 1776 to 1976 Bicentennial edition. This special coin was minted to celebrate the 200th anniversary of American independence, and unlike regular Kennedy half dollars, it carried a unique dual date on the obverse, 1776 to 1976. Just that small detail alone instantly sets it apart from other half-dollars, but when combined with special mint marks, rare errors, and certain conditions of preservation, some examples of this coin have skyrocketed in value, turning what many people see as just a 50-cent piece into a treasure that could change someone's life. The story begins in the mid-1970s, when the United States Mint wanted to create a special set of coins to honor the country's bicentennial. 3 denominations were chosen: the quarter, the half-dollar, and the dollar coin. Each of them received a brand new reverse design made especially for the celebration. For the Kennedy half-dollar, the reverse was redesigned by Seth Huntington, who crafted a beautiful image of Independence Hall in Philadelphia, the very building where the Declaration of Independence was signed. This image symbolized freedom, unity, and the birth of a nation, making it a coin not only valuable in money but also priceless in meaning. The obverse still featured the portrait of President John F. Kennedy, but this time with the historic dual date beneath, 1776 to 1976, a permanent reminder of America's 200 years of independence. Now, here's where it gets even more fascinating. The bicentennial Kennedy half-dollar was struck at several mints across the United States, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint produced millions of these coins, but certain variations make some far rarer and more collectible than others. For instance, the San Francisco Mint produced both proof versions and silver-clad issues, which are especially sought after by serious collectors. Some proof coins were struck in 40% silver, making them stand out from the standard copper-nickel circulation strikes. Additionally, coins with sharp details, deep cameo finishes, or unique mint errors, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or planchet flaws, can dramatically increase in value. Most bicentennial Kennedy half-dollars you'll encounter in circulation today are worth only their face value of 50 cents, and even uncirculated examples may fetch just a few dollars. But here's the exciting part: certain rare mint mark varieties and pristine condition examples have become incredibly valuable in the numismatic market. Collectors are constantly searching for the best preserved coins, particularly those graded by professional services as being in superb gem condition. A single high-grade Kennedy half-dollar from the 1776 to 1976 bicentennial issue can fetch thousands of dollars if it's in perfect mint state with strong details and eye appeal. The demand for bicentennial coins has remained strong for decades, partly because they represent a one-time celebration that will never be repeated. Unlike regular issues that continue year after year, the dual-dated bicentennial Kennedy half-dollar was only minted during that short period leading up to and including 1976. That scarcity alone keeps collectors interested. Beyond that, the nostalgia of the American bicentennial, combined with the legacy of John F. Kennedy, one of the most beloved presidents in U.S. history, adds emotional and historical weight to the coin. People who lived through the bicentennial celebrations often keep these coins as cherished mementos, but the numismatic market rewards the rarest, sharpest, and most unusual examples with high values. So imagine this: you're going through some old coin rolls, or perhaps you stumble across a jar of coins tucked away in a drawer, and there it is, a shiny Kennedy half-dollar with the dual date 1776 to 1976. At first glance, you may think it's just a common piece worth 50 cents. But on closer inspection, maybe you notice a San Francisco mint mark, or perhaps it has a proof-like surface, or you decide to get it graded and discover it's one of the finest examples known. Suddenly, what looked like a pocket change coin could be your ticket to something extraordinary. Collectors are paying huge sums for the right coin, and in the world of numismatics, the right combination of rarity, condition, and desirability is everything. And here's the astonishing fact that makes this coin even more exciting: one special bicentennial Kennedy half-dollar has reached a value of $98,000 in words. Would you like me to also create a short, powerful YouTube description with emojis for this script so it perfectly matches your channel style? Today, all is the Kennedy half-dollar. A coin born out of tragedy, yet destined to become a symbol of honor and remembrance. The Kennedy half-dollar first entered circulation in 1964 after the shocking assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Since then, it has been a favorite among collectors and history enthusiasts, not only because of its beauty but also because of the stories hidden within its minting. Today, we are going to dive deep into the world of the 1971 Kennedy half-dollar, a coin that might look ordinary to most but hides secrets that can make it incredibly valuable to the right collector. When we talk about the 1971 Kennedy half-dollar, we are looking at a coin that came at a turning point in American coinage. Up until 1970, Kennedy half-dollars contained 40% silver, which made them not only valuable as currency but also highly sought after for their silver content. But in 1971, things changed forever. The United States Mint decided to remove silver completely from the half-dollar, shifting its composition to a copper-nickel-clad coin. This was a major move in coinage history, and it marked the very first year that Kennedy half-dollars were minted without silver. Because of this, the 1971 issue has a special place in history as the beginning of a new era. At first glance, the 1971 Kennedy half-dollar may seem common. Millions were struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, carrying either no mint mark or the letter D. These coins were intended for circulation, and countless examples passed through the hands of everyday Americans. Most of them were used in daily transactions, picked up scratches, lost their original shine, and slowly disappeared from circulation as people spent less and less time using half-dollars in their everyday lives. But as any seasoned collector knows, within those millions of coins, there are always hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. What makes the 1971 Kennedy half-dollar especially intriguing is the possibility of rare varieties and minting errors. The shift away from silver in 1971 created unique circumstances, and occasionally, mistakes occurred during production. Some coins were accidentally struck on leftover silver planchets from 1970, creating incredibly rare 1971 silver half-dollars. These mistakes are so scarce that finding one is like winning the lottery, and their value skyrockets because of the rarity. Beyond silver planchet errors, there are also double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and other unusual minting quirks that make a 1971 half-dollar far more than just 50 cents. Another reason collectors love the 1971 Kennedy half-dollar is its connection to the legacy of John F. Kennedy. Every time someone holds this coin, they hold a reminder of an American president whose life and leadership left a permanent mark on history. The obverse of the coin shows the dignified portrait of Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts, while the reverse features the powerful presidential seal created by Frank Gasparo. The combination of artistry, symbolism, and history makes this coin not just money but a miniature work of art. The condition of a 1971 Kennedy half-dollar plays a huge role in determining its value. While circulated coins are easy to find, uncirculated examples with bright luster and sharp details are much harder to come by. Collectors especially prize coins that grade highly on the professional scale, as flawless or near-flawless examples are incredibly rare. Imagine finding a coin that has survived more than 50 years without a single blemish. Those are the kinds of discoveries that drive collectors wild and bring in serious money at auctions. What also makes the 1971 Kennedy half-dollar exciting is that it can still occasionally be found today. Though half-dollars are not commonly seen in circulation anymore, they sometimes appear in bank rolls or old collections that have been sitting untouched for decades. The thrill of going through rolls of coins or checking an old family jar of change and finding a rare 1971 half-dollar is what keeps the passion for coin collecting alive. There's always the possibility that one simple coin you overlooked could be worth far more than you ever imagined. This coin is a perfect example of how history, rarity, and condition come together to create value in the world of numismatics. It represents a pivotal moment in American coinage, a tribute to a beloved president, and a symbol of the surprises that coins can still hold for us today. While many 1971 Kennedy half-dollars may only be worth their face value or a modest premium to collectors, some exceptional examples have shocked the coin-collecting world with their astonishing prices at auction. The Kennedy half-dollar is one of the most iconic coins in American history, and it holds a special place in the hearts of collectors all around the world. While many people instantly think of the 1964 silver Kennedy half-dollar when they hear about valuable coins, there are other years that hold surprising stories. One of those years is 1981. At first glance, a 1981 Kennedy half-dollar with a mint mark might seem like just another coin, something you could easily overlook in a collection or perhaps even in loose change tucked away in an old jar. But the truth is, certain examples of this coin have shocked the numismatic community with their rarity and value, turning an ordinary half-dollar into something extraordinary. The story of the Kennedy half-dollar begins in 1964, right after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The nation was in mourning, and within months, the U.S. Mint designed and released a coin bearing Kennedy's likeness as a tribute. The Kennedy half-dollar quickly became more than just currency, it became a symbol of remembrance, patriotism, and national pride. Many Americans held onto these coins as keepsakes, which is why the early years of the series are often scarce in circulation. By the time we get to the 1980s, the Kennedy half-dollar was no longer widely used in everyday transactions. In fact, most people rarely saw them, as the demand for half-dollars in commerce had dropped significantly. In 1981, the U.S. Mint struck Kennedy half-dollars in 3 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The coins from Philadelphia carry no mint mark, while those from Denver have the D mint mark, and those struck in San Francisco bear the S. What makes this year interesting is that the majority of 1981 Kennedy half-dollars were produced not for everyday circulation but for collectors, particularly those who purchased mint sets and proof sets. This means that a large portion of the coins were preserved from the very start, carefully sealed and kept in better than average condition compared to most coins that circulated. But here's where things get really fascinating. While a typical 1981 Kennedy half-dollar might only be worth its face value or a small premium depending on condition, certain coins with exceptional qualities stand out dramatically. Collectors search for examples in flawless mint state, coins that have never been handled, scratched, or damaged. These perfect coins, especially when graded by professional grading services, can bring in staggering amounts at auction. Beyond condition, there are also rare varieties and minting errors, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or planchet flaws, that instantly increase the desirability of a coin. In the world of numismatics, small details make all the difference. Now imagine someone discovering a 1981 Kennedy half-dollar in pristine condition, with a mint mark, that's unlike the rest. It might have been hidden in a collector's drawer for decades, untouched and unappreciated. When such a coin surfaces, the demand from collectors drives the price to incredible levels. Stories like this are what make coin collecting so exciting, knowing that something as common-looking as a half-dollar could actually be worth a life-changing amount. Over the years, auctions have revealed just how much passion collectors have for these rarities. The 1981 Kennedy half-dollar with a mint mark, when it meets the right combination of condition, scarcity, and demand, has astonished everyone with its value. Most people might dismiss a half-dollar as just 50 cents, but numismatists know that hidden treasures are often disguised as ordinary coins. It's easy to see why collectors are willing to pay so much. Coins are not just pieces of metal, they are pieces of history, each one carrying a story from the time it was struck. The Kennedy half-dollar represents not only a tribute to a beloved president but also a reflection of America in the 20th century, from tragedy and remembrance to artistry and tradition. By the 1980s, even though the coin wasn't used as much in daily life, it still carried that powerful symbolism, which makes rare examples from this year even more meaningful to collectors. Today, endless fascination. Introduced in 1964 as a tribute to President John F. Kennedy after his tragic assassination, this coin became a symbol of remembrance, patriotism, and unity for the entire nation. Over the years, the Kennedy half-dollar has gone through different designs, compositions, and minting changes, but its legacy has remained strong. While many people think the earliest silver issues are the most valuable, there are other years that surprise collectors with incredible worth, and one of those remarkable years is 1972. At first glance, a 1972 Kennedy half-dollar with a mint mark might look like just another half-dollar, the kind you could find in an old jar of coins, tucked away in a drawer, or even resting in a forgotten roll from the bank. But numismatics has taught us a valuable lesson: sometimes the most ordinary-looking coins hold the greatest secrets. For coin enthusiasts and collectors, the 1972 Kennedy half-dollar is a perfect example of how condition, rarity, and demand can transform a simple piece of pocket change into a fortune. The 1972 Kennedy half-dollars were struck at multiple mints across the United States, including Philadelphia with no mint mark, Denver with the D mint mark, and San Francisco with the S mint mark for proof issues. By the early 1970s, silver had been removed from circulating Kennedy halves, meaning that most 1972 coins were copper-nickel clad. Because of this, many people don't expect these coins to have much value. But in the world of coin collecting, rarity isn't always about precious metal, it's about scarcity, condition, and special minting characteristics. When it comes to 1972 Kennedy half dollars, collectors specifically look for high-grade examples in mint state condition. Coins that were carefully preserved, untouched by circulation, can bring significant premiums. The difference between a coin worth face value and one worth thousands lies in the sharpness of its strike, the brilliance of its luster, and the absence of marks or scratches. Imagine pulling out a 1972 half dollar from circulation decades ago, storing it away, and later discovering it to be nearly perfect, a time capsule of history. Such coins are exactly what professional grading companies and serious collectors crave, but beyond condition, there's another factor that makes the 1972 Kennedy half dollar so intriguing: errors and varieties. Throughout U.S. mint history, mistakes have occasionally slipped through the rigorous process of coin production. A double die, an off-center strike, or a missing mint mark can completely change the desirability of a coin. Some of these rare varieties from 1972 are considered gems by collectors, and when they appear on the auction block, they ignite bidding wars. A simple half dollar that cost 50 cents at the time of release can suddenly skyrocket in value because of a unique characteristic. Collectors often say that finding one of these rare Kennedy half dollars is like striking gold, because not only do you hold a coin with monetary worth, but you also hold a piece of history tied directly to the era in which it was minted. In 1972, the United States was going through major changes, politically, culturally, and economically. Coins from that year reflect the craftsmanship of the U.S. Mint and the evolving role of currency in American society. That's why Kennedy half dollars from this year are not just metal tokens, they are historical artifacts. The fascination doesn't end there. Over the decades, these coins have shown up in surprising places: estate sales, collections passed down through families, and forgotten mint sets tucked away in attics. Collectors scour these sources hoping to find that one rare gem, the half dollar that has the right combination of condition, rarity, and uniqueness. Stories have surfaced of ordinary people who held onto these coins for decades, never realizing their true worth until they were evaluated by experts. Imagine the shock of learning that a coin you've had for years, one you barely thought twice about, could be worth a fortune. And speaking of fortunes, the true highlight of the 1972 Kennedy half dollar comes when we look at its most valuable examples. While most may only be worth a few dollars, certain coins with exceptional qualities have achieved stunning results at auction. Collectors are willing to pay top dollar for perfection, and the right coin can spark a bidding war that drives the price into unimaginable territory. That's the magic of coin collecting: the thrill of discovery, the chase for rarity, and the reward of uncovering something extraordinary. Now imagine this: a 1972 Kennedy half dollar with a mint mark, preserved in impeccable condition, graded at the highest level, and coveted by multiple collectors. When such a coin appeared at auction, it didn't just sell for a modest premium, it sold for an astounding $188,000.